What's up, rad humans? Welcome to episode number 8 of Raving Sober. Today we're going to talk about sobriety and medication, a topic that I have a lot to say about. So, sobriety and medication. I'm going to share with you my experience. First of all, I got sober when I was 24, and I started having panic attacks really bad when I was about 2 years sober, when I quit smoking. And I got married, I went to grad school. It wasn't until grad school that I actually went on my first antidepressant, because I believed, and this is what I heard, I thought that you weren't really sober if you took any medication. I thought that I could just work the 12 steps and, work a good program, and that would take care of all my problems. And I was very wrong. And sobriety actually kind of shined a light on my mental illnesses. So I was diagnosed when I was 7 years sober, and I ended up in a mental hospital because after I got my master's degree in playwriting, which is an obvious sign that I have mental illness, hello. Anyway, I got that degree and I made the decision, okay, I'm gonna really, really work a program, and I'm gonna go off this antidepressant because I'm not in the stress of graduate school anymore. And I chose a sponsor who I knew was anti-medication. And this is all in hindsight. But because I want you to know, I want to be very clear that I'm not a victim. I heard, don't take antidepressants, you won't be sober. That's what I picked up on. I wasn't listening. It's kind of like when one person says, Court's, a crappy person or whatever, says some smack about you. And, like 80 people are like, God, you're so awesome, love you, blah, blah, blah. And you just focus on that one person. So that's what I was doing. Like, I was focusing because I had a lot of self-hatred, and I would find people that would help me make that my truth. Like I would find a sponsor that was really, really, really hard and that I could never live up to, and I could never be enough, because I had this feeling that I was not enough and that I would never be enough. So anyway, that's what I clung on to. So I decided, I'm working a really good program if I'm totally med-free. So I went off the antidepressant that was working so well for me, literally took away my panic attacks. And within 5 months, I was completely suicidal. Literally, my walls changed color. So I was having a bit of a hallucination. And all I could think about all day long, my head constantly, was killing myself. And I worked a program like crazy on it. I was working like the best program I ever have. I was sponsoring all these women, and I was calling newcomers all the time. And I literally would start crying on the phone and hold it away from me. I was in so much pain, and it had nothing to do with my alcoholism. My alcoholism was arrested. I was doing more than I even needed to do to arrest my alcoholism. So I went, I was actually 5150'd into my first mental health facility. I was actually in Reno, Nevada, because I went home to Reno. I thought that would help, going home to mom. And one of my good friends was like, you're suicidal, and she called the cops on me. And I was put in an ambulance, and I was taken to the hospital, and that was forever. And then ambulance to, no, it was a cop car to, no, I don't remember, it doesn't matter. I think it was a cop car to the hospital, and then ambulance to the mental hospital. And I was only in there, I was on a 72-hour hold, and I was only in there 48 hours. It was so easy to diagnose me because I had been sober for 7 years. And the psychiatrist listened to me for like 10 minutes, and he was like, you have bipolar disorder and PTSD, like, duh. And he explained bipolar to me, and everything kind of made sense. I was like, oh, my happy attacks. You know, I always called them happy attacks. I'm like, oh, that's mania. Oh, when, you know, I think I can take over the world and be the next Evita and maybe marry a president and, you know, be a huge movie star. And, you know, not that doesn't, you know, I had a lot of big, grandiose moments, you know, where I was just going to rule the world. And I used drugs and alcohol to, you know, calm that down and speed it up, and calm it down and speed it up. That's why I liked, you know, having bipolar. I liked alcohol and speed, because speed brings the depression up and alcohol brought the mania down. And, you know, I was always trying to get that balance. So I was self-medicating. But just because I was self-medicating doesn't mean that I don't have alcoholism. So it's actually, okay, now you have these two things, actually three. And I learned that the PTSD was causing my panic attacks. My panic attacks started when I was 7. I had them off and on forever. And I would have really long panic attacks, really long ones, especially when like in my first few years of sobriety, I would have like 4-hour panic attacks every day for years. And it was miserable. Also found out that my thyroid was off, and that helped with the panic attacks as well. I have Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is an autoimmune disease. And I'll talk about that on a different vlog, because I'm really focusing on mental illness and alcoholism here. Alcoholism/addiction. I'm a drug addict too. And so where I stand on medications is, okay, first of all, yes, I've heard people share from the podium that, you know, you're not sober if you're on medication. I have heard that before. It's really rare nowadays that I hear that, but those people were not informed. They were ignorant. They didn't know what they were talking about, obviously. Because if you take an antidepressant, like when I took, you know, they put me on lithium and antidepressants, and, you know, I've always needed a cocktail. And it's not like you go, hey, I'm going to take 2 lithium today. You know, it's not how it goes. So it's not something that you abuse. But I did take Xanax for my panic attacks. I was prescribed by my psychiatrist. And so what I did was, my psychiatrist knew that I was an alcoholic and an addict. And I was very clear with my doctors. And for me, it's about intention. What is my intention? Is my intention to get high, or is my intention to stop the panic attack? And for several years, I would still have panic attacks, you know, once in a while. So my psychiatrist would prescribe me like 5 Xanax, and I would put them in my purse, and just having them there actually helped a lot. And I took them when I had a full-blown panic attack. And I always checked my intention, and I took them as prescribed. You know, I didn't take 2. I didn't take 3. I took the dosage on the bottle, and it was prescribed by a doctor, and I had a diagnosis. And I think that's very important, to have a diagnosis, have a psychiatrist, obviously have a psychiatrist to give you the diagnosis, and then the medication. But this is me. I know people that if they took a Xanax, they would be off and running. So where I stand on this in my recovery is, it's not my sponsor's business. And where I stand on it with people in recovery judging me because people have said, oh, I'm not sober, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. They can say whatever they want. That's their opinion, and they have to deal with their own character defects of being judgmental, you know? And I don't get to hate them, and I don't get to resent them, because that's just where they are, you know? And it sucks to be them. Like, it's not my business what other people are saying about me. It's not my business what other people think about me. And my recovery is my recovery. Bottom line for me, it's about what is my intention? What is my intention, you know? And of course, not getting a doctor that I can totally manipulate. And, you know, we know when we are med seeking. We totally know. So a lot of it is about self-honesty. And I think one of the biggest parts of the program, obviously, is honesty, but really being honest with yourself. That's what it comes down to a lot. Am I being honest with myself? So yes, I take quite a few medications. I do take Klonopin to go to sleep now, and I take one at night as prescribed at bedtime. I don't take it early so I can feel the buzz. I take it right before I turn out the light. And I have not taken more than one. I don't do that because that would be a relapse. I would consider that a relapse, absolutely. So I hope that this has been helpful. And it's just, I have a new psychiatrist now. I absolutely adore him. It's just really, bottom line, about being super honest with myself, honest with my doctor. And also part of having a mental illness is I am in therapy every week, and I meet regularly with my psychiatrist, and I am very honest with him and let him know where I'm at, because if I don't have my mental health, I risk my recovery, because I did relapse when I was in postpartum depression, really, really bad. So I'm in trouble if I don't take care of my mental health. So I have to take care of both, absolutely. And I think in another episode, I'll talk about how can I tell the difference between my mental illness and my alcoholism. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, and please subscribe and hit the little like button if you're into this, and I hope that this helps you, and if you think this will help someone else, please share it with them, and stay rad.